Mabuhay, this is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. Why young men should date a Filipina. You are not too busy to do this, so I'm going to make a list of videos here of fallacies, reasons, excuses, that a young man can give for not having, a relationship and not being able to put in the time for that. And today we're going to talk about this idea of being too busy. Are you a young man believing you're too busy to get a relationship? I know people say things like that. I'm going to push back on that today. I hope you will hear me out. And if you're starving for a normal male-female relationship, you shouldn't become so burdened and overwhelmed with things to do that you feel you are too busy to pursue a relationship. Relationships are life-changing and important and worth the investment. One time I was working 6 days a week. Of course, I had other things and interests I had to do, but I did find a wife in the Philippines, and I wish more young men would do the same. Please subscribe here to Love Beyond the Sea. I'm going to offer marriage advice to young men because I care about them and their futures. Comment, of course. Don't wait until you're too old to get married. I was 53, and you don't have to wait that long. I'm going to start a series called Why Young Men Should Date a Filipina, and all these videos will be in a YouTube playlist called Young Men and Filipinas. I hope you will avail yourself of that. I would hope that most of us are busy doing meaningful things that are important to us and especially to our growth, but that we would still make time for a wife. Whether you're looking locally or, like I did, very long distance to another country, it's still going to require an investment of time. Most everything does that is worthwhile. No one should say they are too busy to look for a wife. If you are, then you need to let go of some things. Or it may be that you need to do less of some things in order to make necessary time to find a woman to marry. I think it's easy to use being too busy as an excuse. Unless you're working 2 full-time jobs, and I have known such people, you should have some time. We always make time for that which is important to us. And yes, we should stay busy. When I met my wife online from 9,800 miles apart, and praise God for the internet and being able to do this at this time in life, I signed up on Christian Filipina, to dating site. At least that's what I call it, relationship site, on a Saturday morning as a paying member, after I finally decided overnight that that's what I would do. And so I spent the whole weekend, the next 2 days, browsing hundreds of profiles and taking a lot of notes. I didn't know there was going to be so many women to look at, so I had a long list of notes and was constantly updating them. Soon, I was spending 4 hours a day in video chats with the woman that is now my wife. And I believe I met her on the 5th day of my membership. And then I focused on her. Otherwise, I'd been too busy, to focus on her because I'd be working and having all these other women. So I had to prioritize, narrow it down to her. And I recommend very strongly, if you are contacting somebody, whether in another state or another country, move to video chat as soon as possible, because you will be making the most of your time that way. I even remember taking a little time off of work after that initial weekend so I could sift through the enormous number of profiles. And it seemed like every day there was more being added on that Christian Filipino website. And by the way, in YouTube and even on TikTok above, my affiliate link is on there if you want to click on that, and it will take you to the website, Christian Filipina. So I went from there, after all this browsing, and I was married in less than 8 weeks after I signed up. That's right, only 54 days. Part of not being too busy and not having enough time is telling ourselves that being married is bound to change our life quite a bit. Anyway, so why not get started in making some alterations to our lifestyle and our priorities right now? Is what you are involved with these days more important than having a loyal companion and sexual intimacy for as long as possible? Do you know when you're going to have more time? I mean, is this just going to fall into your lap? More time? Is it just going to happen? Are you looking at your life to see what you can change? Some things in life are more important than others. We always have time for what is important to us. Do you agree with that? Do you want to be too busy to be able to find intimacy someday? We need to consider that it is normal to cull some activities out of our life for a while to be able to concentrate on something more pressing and important at the time. And your future is important. And I hope you see marriage as worth making these short-term sacrifices for long-term gain. If you have a full plate of activities and responsibilities, I suggest you take a good hard look at them to find ways to be able to contact and communicate with a woman who eventually going to become your wife and totally change your life for the better. But to find such a person, you need to invest the time into it, carefully talking to them, looking over profiles, deciding what you're looking for and what's important, and then spending a lot of time with that person. And that's what I did 8 years ago when I became happily married to my love beyond the sea.